Did you ever want to take an assault rifle to a spy mission but didn't because it makes too much noise? Meet the Baza. Hey guys, hello and welcome back. As always, my name is Lazer and today we're gonna be diving deeper into the only silent assault rifle in Warframe. It comes to us at a mastery lockout of only 7. As such, this video will take a new player friendly approach and I'm gonna be covering a lot of the basics. So if you're a veteran of the game, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Baza assault rifle. Before we slap on any mods, let's check out how the weapon handles. And I'm going to be staying roughly 30 meters away from my target. This is roughly the 30-meter point and I'm going to start spraying. Please notice that there's basically no recoil to this thing and it's extremely precise as well. Fire rate is also pretty good as well. And as you can see, the shots were pretty much dead on from about 30 meters away. Now let's jump into the stats and see exactly what we're dealing with. First and foremost, you see that my mod capacity is 60 out of 60. Your Baza might have only 30 out of 30. To get the 60 mod capacity, you need to jump into actions and install an Orokin catalyst. You can obtain this one from alerts, invasions, or if you have access to the daily sortie, this is also a possible reward. More often than not, you're gonna have to pay 20 plat for it. Now you're also gonna notice the number 8 right here. This means that my weapon has been formatted a total of 8 times because I need counseling. But for the weapon build I'm gonna recommend to you guys, 5 should prove sufficient. We got an accuracy of 80, a huge accuracy for the Baza, which will make it a worthy candidate for a very specific mod, which we will talk a bit later about. Critical chance is absolutely awesome at 26% and the multiplier at 3.0x, both of these being outstanding stats. Fall off pretty much kinda standard, 2234, so nothing to worry about there. Fire rate is outstanding, 16.67, and the magazine is 40. Now this is kinda the weak spot of the Baza. Only 40 mag capacity means you're gonna be reloading a whole lot. Thankfully, the reload speed is only 1.4 and it is a silent weapon. Again, this is what makes the Baza so unique. Let's say it's the only silent assault rifle and it will synergize very well with something like an Ivara, because if you use an alarming weapon on Ivara's cloak, it will break it, so the Baza can maintain Ivara's cloak while shooting. So there's that to take into account. Riven disposition is 3 out of 5, which means the Rivens will be right smack in the middle. And status chance, unfortunately, only 10%, and this is a bit where the Baza suffers. The default damage is impact, puncture, and slash, with slash being the lowest, but that doesn't mean we can't make it into a slash weapon. So let's slap on some mods. The first thing you should always do is just add some damage. The flat damage amount is gonna be 165 from Serration, and this is a mandatory mod for mostly any rifle. If you are unclear in what to sink your endo in, be advised that Serration is never a bad idea and it's always gonna be present on all of your builds. We're not gonna stop here though, we're also gonna go for heavy caliber. Heavy caliber is what you call a corrupted mod. It gives you something, but it also takes a little bit of something from you. In our case, it's gonna give us another 165 damage, but it takes away 55% of that accuracy, which brings it down to 23.7. Even like this, because the high base amount of accuracy on the Baza, the weapon is still manageable without any sorts of problems with everything except high range shots. If you're gonna use it for long range shots, then yes, the accuracy will hurt you, but for medium and low range shots, the accuracy is more than enough at 23.7, and I definitely recommend heavy caliber. If you guys don't have heavy caliber, you can farm it through Voltrons. Just go to recruiting chat and look for Voltrons. You can get it there. If not, pay 15 plat for it. Ranked, however, you're gonna have to sink a lot of endo into it in order to get it to max level, and always prioritize Serration over heavy caliber. Now that we got our damage, what we need is to further amplify that critical chance and that critical multiplier of the Baza, because again, these are its best stats. So let's go for some crit chance. The standard mod for crit chance is called Point Strike in case of rifles, and it will add 150% critical chance, which brings our total critical chance to 65%. Now that we got a high crit chance, we need to amplify the crit multiplier. It's pointless to have a high critical chance if your multiplier is low. And the standard crit damage amplification for rifles is called Vital Sense. And Vital Sense will give you 120% extra critical damage. It would be nice if we could further amplify this even further, and we do have a couple of options, but we'll talk about them later. Critical multiplier has now jumped to 6.6. There's one more mod that is mandatory, at least from my point of view. And that of course is multi-shot. The standard multi-shot mod for rifles is called split chamber, and it will add 90% multi-shot. Now we're not gonna stop there, we can also add vigilante armaments, which is another 60% multi-shot. Considering the standard version of multi-shot only offers 90%, 60% is pretty good, and we also have that set bonus. 5% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons. Now if you don't understand what this refers to, there are multiple tiers of critical hits in Warframe, and I suggest you head on over to the wiki and check that one out. The set bonus is nice because this is a crit weapon, but you shouldn't base your decision on the set bonus alone. For now, we're gonna leave it off. What we should be doing next is further amplifying our damage with elemental damage, and elemental damage should always be applied depending on where you're going and who you're fighting. For example, if you're going up against the infested, then heat is more than enough to deal with them. Corpus faction are weak to magnetic because that will deal more damage to their shields, or my recommendation would be to build gas as it bypasses their shields entirely and deals damage directly to their health. We're gonna be taking the example of the toughest targets in Warframe, which are Grenier. These guys have a lot of armor, and in order for us to strip away some of that armor, we're gonna have to build corrosive. Corrosive is the combination of electricity and toxin. When adding elemental damage to a weapon, you have a couple of options. First, the 90% mods, which will offer more damage, or the 60-60 mods, which offer less damage but a fair good chunk of status chance as well. As you saw here, our base status chance is only 10%, and this is one of the weak points of the Baza. However, it did get amplified to 18% because of multi-shot. We fire multiple projectiles with a single click. That's what multi-shot does, and that is why this status chance jumped a little bit. Now I'm gonna give you a general rule of thumb, which is not correct in every single situation. When going up against level 100 plus enemies, then the 60-60 mods are a bit more potent. Level 100 and under, then the 90 mods should prove more efficient. Again, it really depends on where you're going, what you're doing. This one can be farmed from the mission Not Elgar on the planet Eris. If not from the trade chat, you're looking at about 60-70 plat. It is worth getting, however, as you will be using it in many of your builds. We slapped on Stormbringer, and we're also going to be adding high voltage as well. We got a lot of electricity, and now we need our toxin. For toxin, the same old option as before, either the 90% mod or the 60-60 mod. Malignant Force opposed to high voltage is a whole lot more accessible. It's easy to farm from Corrupted War in the Void. If not, go to the trade chat, 10-15 plat on an absolute max. As we're going up against level 100 plus, we did apply both of the 60-60 mods, which pumped up our status chance to 37.6, and I used the 90 mod to further amplify my corrosive damage, as in this case this is the most optimal way to go about it. You can swap out the 60-60 mod for a 90 mod, again depending on your circumstances. Now that we got our first build, let's see what we can do against some really tough targets. These will be Corrupted Heavy Gunners, level 115. Please keep in mind that Corrupted units have more health and armor than regular units. Now basically what I'm gonna try to do is kind of show you what a full clip can do to these guys. Not a lot, sadly. You saw this one 50% and this one dead. What's the deal? That is the status chance. If you're lucky with the status chance, then you're gonna be able to take out targets a whole lot more easily. If you're not lucky and if you don't get a couple of corrosive procs from the get-go, then it's simply not gonna pan out all that well. At least not against this level or higher level targets, which is why for this weapon, a corrosive damage elemental build is simply not worth it. What we're gonna be doing is something a bit more efficient, and again, we're gonna keep it affordable. But I thought I'd show you the elemental build just in case anybody was wondering, and we also tried everything we could to get the status chance up. Again, if you're lucky with the status chance, then you can shred a bit better, but without the tad luck, unfortunately, it simply doesn't work out all that well. And there's nothing realistic you can do to further amplify that status chance. I mean, you can drop a bit of multi-shot if you so desire. Now, multi-shot means status chance 46% now, and we got the 60-60 mods, and you will see that the results will be mostly the same. Now, I'm a fan of this type of build. I don't like bleed builds one bit. However, in the case of the Baza, it's simply not worth it. Nah. Nope, not good enough. Not good enough. We need something a bit more potent than that. We unloaded 40 bullets, 40 needles, whatever they are, and they still didn't die. So let's switch to a blade build. We're gonna keep what I believe mandatory mods on this weapon, and of course we have split chamber, serration, point strike, vital sense, and heavy caliber. If you can stomach heavy caliber's accuracy loss, then you can switch it out, but I definitely recommend it. Now our bleed build will be through a very overpowered mod from my point of view, and it's called Hunter Munitions. Hunter Munitions, 30% chance to apply slash status to an enemy on critical hit. We do loads of critical hits and we got a good critical multiplier as well. It is a well-known fact that when building bleed, it is a smart idea to build viral damage. What viral damage does is reduces the health of a target to 50% or by 50%. So in a way, our slashes will be doing double damage, as long as that viral proc doesn't disappear from the target, doesn't run out before the bleeds kill it. So in some cases, it's a bit of a gamble. So let's build some viral, shall we? The viral is combination between toxin of infected clip and cold, which is cryo rounds. We're not going to use the prime version for now, we're going to keep to the standard one. So we got our 90% cold and our 90% toxin. Why didn't you use the 60-60 mods? Didn't you say that yes, this is one of those situations where it's not important to have the 60-60 mods? Basically, when you're running a corrosive build, you want more applications of the status chance, because with each application you are lowering the armor of the target. However, in our case, we're not gonna lower the health more than 50%. I just need one good application of the actual viral effect to get the health back to 50%, and then the slashes to kill it. So in this case in particular, we don't need the 60-60 mods. In bio intents and purposes, it would be a DPS loss. If the weapon wouldn't fire as much as it does, as fast as it does, then yes, the 60-60 mods would become mandatory, simply because you do need that viral proc on the target. But as you will see, we'll be getting consistent viral procs. And this build is a whole lot more efficient than the standard corrosive build, which for me kind of sucks because I prefer corrosive builds in general. But in any case, let's unload the full clip in this guy's head. You see, I got my viral application and the slashes will kill the target. In this case in particular, a viral slash build is probably the best way to go. As you can see, we are getting consistent slashes on the target with no problem at all, and the viral proc is staying on there, so we don't need the 60-60 mod. In case you are running into trouble and your viral proc is not consistent enough, then by all means go for a 60-60 mod. 2 would be massively overkill, but you can go for 1. I'm trying to show you an example that sometimes the viral goes away before the slashes kill it. There you go, right there. Still, a whole lot better than a standard corrosive build, and this will be the build I recommend to you guys. It doesn't include anything expensive, so by all intents and purposes you should have all the mods handy. If not, they're cheap to buy. Now that's one option to go for a slash build. I got another one, but you're probably not gonna like it too much. We're gonna drop the cryo rounds and infected clip as well. What we're gonna be slapping on is something a bit more expensive that you might not have. Argon scope. Now this one cannot be obtained currently, but from the trade chat you're looking at about 250 plat. If you can get this one, you're gonna need it for a lot of builds in the future, so it's definitely worth picking up. Argon scope will give us critical chance 135% while aiming on headshot. Now you fire a lot of bullets with the Baza, again you're gonna be getting this constant. As for our second mod, we have two options. First of all, vigilante armaments, which again means more multi-shot, more bullets on the targets, more bleeds, and so on and so forth. Also, with a crit chance from Argon scope, our critical chance will be going over 100%, so with each and every bullet landed on his head, on a target's head, you're gonna get that chance from Hunter Munitions. It's not a guaranteed slash, it's a 30% chance, but at least it can happen. As for our third and final option, there's a mod called Bladed Rounds. Now if you don't have this one, from the trade chat, an absolute maximum of 10 plat. Bladed Rounds is an on-kill effect, plus 120% crit damage while aiming for 9 seconds, and that will buff up your slash damage, your slash amounts. So it is worth having. This is the build that will prove the most amount of DPS as long as the buff from Bladed Rounds is up. The difference in terms of damage between, well, in terms of DPS between Bladed Rounds and Vigilante armaments is fairly small. Think about 5-6% as long as my math wasn't flaky. To be perfectly frank with you guys, go for whatever you prefer. I don't like on kill effects, so I use Vigilante armaments, and the differences between those two are super small in any case, so it's not really worth giving a second thought. Simply use your favorite between the two. Now let's go to town and see what kind of differences do we get with the mighty Argon scope. And as you can see, look at that. Yes, that is a difference. And I no longer have viral. I don't need the viral anymore because I simply deal a whole lot more damage. I have a lot more slashes on the target and they're simply bleeding to death a whole lot more efficiently. Unfortunately, you do need Argon Scope for a build like this. Sadly, you cannot replace it with anything else. Trust me, I tried. And bladed rounds. You wanna see a run with bladed rounds too? I'm assuming you're curious. Okay, let's do a round with bladed rounds. I guess it wouldn't be objective of me if I didn't do it. So let's just slap it in. We're gonna have to wait to get a kill, unfortunately. Again, I hate those on kill effects, but they can be very, very potent. Let's see if we can kill this guy basically with a mod in minus, because right now there's no extra effect for it. There we go, you're gonna die. And this is with bladed rounds. Look at the amount of the damage amount from slashes. 970. That is the highest amount you can get. Without a Riven, of course. And don't worry, we have a Riven. And that is with bladed rounds. Again, use whatever you guys prefer. I go for vigilante armaments, but you can go for either bladed rounds or that one. To be perfectly frank, my bias is not entirely justified because in a mission you're gonna get plenty of kills. So, there you go. Now we're gonna be switching to my Riven setup. I do have a Riven, a loner from a friend. Thank you very much, mate. 157% critical chance and 90% toxin, and I'm gonna use that toxin to make viral together with primed cryo rounds. This one is 2 from the top. And in case I forgot to mention this, if you guys have prime versions of any of the mods that I recommended, then by all means go right on ahead and use your prime versions. Now because of the Riven, my critical chance jumped over 100%, which means that with every bullet that lands on the target, I'm gonna get that chance from Hunter Munitions. So let's see what kind of a differences do a Riven make. I was looking at Baza Rivens and I was expecting something like 50 plat on roll, maybe 60, okay, 70 on a high, but no, these things are bloody expensive as all hell. Does the Baza need a Riven to be a competitive weapon? Well, that's gonna really come down to you guys. To be honest, I don't think the Baza is an endgame weapon in the traditional sense of the word. However, it's the only assault rifle, silent assault rifle in the game. It's your only option if you want to go super stealthy with Ivara. By all means, great synergies together with Ivara. And as you can see, the Riven does make quite the difference. And these are still level 115 corrupted heavy gunner, so the Baza can definitely pork it out. If this is your favorite weapon, then I don't blame you. It's very, very nice to handle because you don't have basically any recoil on it and it fires at a high fire rate and the reload is quite quick as well. There are better assault rifles in terms of raw firepower, but that doesn't mean that the Baza doesn't have its own little niche. And this is performance with Riven. Not bad, not bad. However, we can push it even further than that and we can amplify rifle damage by quite a significant amount. First of all, let's jump into Mirage and equip an aura. This is Rifle Amp and you can get it from the trade chat for 10 plat max. Rifle damage increased by 27%. It's stackable and it will offer this buff to all your party members. As for arcanes, because these are more important than the actual aura, we're gonna go with Arcane Where are you? Arcane Rage, of course. 10% chance for plus 120% damage to rifles for 16 seconds and plus the usual 1 Arcane Revive. As for our second option, Arcane Acceleration. On critical hit, which we do plenty of, 20% chance for plus 60% fire rate to rifles for 6 seconds. Now let's see what kind of a difference does that make. Of course, we're not going to stop there. We're also going to activate Mirage's first ability for the clones, her third ability for the damage increase, and we're just going to simply shred through all of these targets. I unloaded, I don't know, 30 something bullets, and of course, now the slashes will be taken away and killing these guys. The slashes are ticking for quite this considerable amount. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. So yes, you can take the Baza in endgame missions if you so desire. Nobody should keep it against you as long as you built it properly. As for me, I still think it should be used as a niche weapon for stealthy spy missions. Again, on a low key, especially on an Ivara, and that is what the Baza is for. And again, this is only a Mastery 7 weapon. It does a whole lot more than I expected it to do. And that's gonna do it for this build guide. I'm gonna thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any feedback for me, by all means, leave it in the comment section down below. I give you my word, I will read each and every comment. Now, if you guys will allow me a moment of silence for the person who inspired me to start my own YouTube channel.